Hyderabad was one of the largest princely states in India, where the medieval Muslim administrative structure was preserved intact. By the time of freedom, the Nizam Mir Osman Ali Khan was the wealthiest ruler in the world.
The Nizams were more or less like the monarchs. The Jagirdari system was an important feature of the Nizam's administration. Nizam granted huge pieces of land to the noblemen whom they liked and bestowed on them the rank of Jagirdar. Some of these Jagirdars were driven by selfish interests and charged heavy taxes from the people. They sent revenue collectors to collect revenue from a group of villages.
They had thousands of acres in their hold and they forced people to work both in their agricultural fields and homes. This system of forced labor was known as Vetti system.
Some people were tied to the master by hereditary debts. They worked for generations together to clear those debts.
Such practices were common in the Nalgonda, Mahabubnagar and Warangal districts. This region was the center point for the armed revolt. The rural people and peasants were being exploited by the revenue officers, money lenders, private contractors and landlords. And then they rose in rebellion. The Telangana movement 1948 to 51 was an armed revolt of peasants under the leadership of the Communist Party of India against landlordism patronized by the Nizams. The sufferings of the peasants increased when the Second World War started, as they were subjected to increasing numbers of taxes and forced to perform vetti. The poor farmers were losing their land to the village moneylenders. Men, women and children from different discontented villages were organized by the communists into armed guerrilla squads to fight exploitative landlords and the armed battalion of the Nizams called Razakars. P.C. Joshi, the then General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, provided inspiration for the armed struggle in Telangana. He arranged for the supply of arms and ammunitions to the struggling peasants.
He was supported in his endeavor by many military officers who gifted weapons free of cost and arranged for their shipment. And then came the Hyderabad Jagirdar Abolition Act.
Large Jagirs were taken over by the government by giving compensation of 18 crores. More than 995 Jagirdars were removed and their land was given to those who were cultivating it.
The Hyderabad Tenancy Act was passed in the year 1950, which protected the interests of all types of tenants that worked on the Nizam's fields.
According to the Act, all the tenants who were in continuous possession of land for 6 years were made protected tenants or patadars after a little payment, though the delay in its implementation helped the landlords. There came the other land reforms also that somehow benefited the landlords. They received a good amount of compensation for their land that was occupied by the government. They also got to keep big buildings, cattle sheds and agricultural implements with them. They were allowed to keep khud kasht land. So, they showed most of their land as the khud kasht land and kept it. For example, the Challapalli Zamindar showed 2,650 acres under his sugar factory and kept it. He later on went to become a business entrepreneur.
Children, Bhudan means donating land to the landless.
The Bhudan movement was started by Acharya Vinoba Bhave, one of India's best-known social reformers and a disciple of Mahatma Gandhi. He started this movement at Pochampalli village, now known as Bhudan Pochampalli. The mission of the movement was to persuade wealthy landowners to willingly give some of their land to lower castes.
However, this land could not be sold. In effect, landless laborers were being given a small plot of land to settle and to grow some of their own food, so as to give them an incentive to remain in the village and not flee to the cities.